to another Figuarts review. This is Skyrider with the Sky Turbo bike package. The bike was also released individually, and this colored version of Skyrider was of course released ages ago. The one I reviewed on my channel a long time ago was his original color version. That was a Tunxi web exclusive, and it's a darker color of the Skyrider suit, whereas the one we have here is the the later suit that he has in the show is of a lighter color. Originally this suit did get quite expensive because stock ran out and didn't produce that many, so the price got scalped. So now he's been re-released along with this bike in a much more affordable price. The box here is done in quite a lot of the other Showa Rider boxes look kind of like this. It's just sort of a single color tone going on for the most part. There's a drawing of the outline here, and Skyrider and Sky Turbo on the side there. And on the back it shows you what you get inside the package. It's got Tunxi stage act, just like every other version of Skyrider. Just get this out. And since this is a pretty big box, the box itself does get pretty flimsy without the cardboard box on the outside. So you have the instruction sheet here. Now on one side it's just the instruction redone or reprinted from the original Skyrider figure, and on the back they just printed a little bit of the bike details on here. So yep. And before we head over to the tray, we do have an extra baggie in here that's holding the Tunxi stage act. Oh, it's in blue. I don't know if the previous version is the same color, but it says the Skyrider sailing jump, and all three holes of the Tunxi stage back has been plugged up with an extra blue piece. I like this a lot. The one I have is got a dark green color to match the dark green of the original suit color. You got the Tunxi stage arm, of course, and a standard grippy thing, but also the piece here that you also get with the other versions, which is to hold, just snap onto his belly so you can have him in the flying pose. Because essentially, it doesn't matter which colored version you get, it's going to be the same figure, just slightly different color. Although this version here has been updated ever so slightly. And pop. Let me just get that out. And here's a quick look of what's inside the tray. To get this out of the way before the rest of the review, the head is the place that has been updated from the previous versions. For example, the antenna are now a much thinner material and also softish, so they don't snap. So it looks much better than the old one, because the old one was really thick antenna. However, unfortunately for me, mine's not glued on straight, so this one's slightly off. That's annoying, it's not balanced. Another thing that they fixed is the side of the helmet. The seam line between the two molded pieces is much harder to tell in this version, whereas the original Skyrider, at least the light colored version, because mine seems okay, of the dark colored one, the light colored version, the seam line was much more noticeable, disjointing the three black areas of the helmet, making it look really abrupt and awkward, whereas here they smoothed those out much better. The rest of the figure is pretty much the exact same mold as the previous version, and the coloring is the green and the orange is much more natural on this one, whereas the old one seems a little bit more plasticky, so the color has also been slightly altered, but the rest of the mold is the exact same as the previous version. So what we have here in terms of accessories is we have the fist already attached to the figure, hands for doing his henshin pose as well as flying pose, and I do notice that these gloves are very similar to, Ichigo, Nigo, Fifu, and Rider Man and all that, so I guess they're cross-compatible, same mold maybe. Also a pair of bike riding hands, which also double as item holding hands. In terms of accessories, he has two scarves. The back of the neck here has a hole, so just plug this scarf in and come on, get in there. I remember with the other one, I put a bit of blue tack in it, because, yeah, this, come on, get in. There we go. Didn't want it to stay in there too well, but this one seems to be doing okay. So you got the printed patterns there of the scarf, and a really ugly molding line there, that sucks. And now let's do the flying scarf. You gotta remove the neck joint, which is easier said than done. Alright, there you go. So now he's got this going on, and you saw earlier, for the Tunxi stage act, it had a extra piece there for the flying thing going on, so You know, you give him the 2 flying hands, and then you get this piece there, which will plug into a Tunxi stage act. Just plug that into the torso, and he would just sort of rest on top of that. So that's something you can do. And yes, these two move, these switches move just like the darker figure that we viewed a few years ago now. So yeah, let me just get that head off. It comes off really easily, and this neck comes off, should come off easier than the other one because I have a whole cape to help you pull it off. There we go. Yeah, quite annoying. Speaking of annoying joints, so was the hand joints. The ball on the hands on the arms are a bit too big, so I actually had a bit of an issue plugging in the other hands. And this, most of the issue is just aligning the joint to make sure it doesn't move. Just get this scarf in there, back into the neck. There we go. That's annoying. Anyway, so of course our main big piece here is the bike. So I'm going to move the leg, stand down, and that's really slanted. It just feels like it's going to fall. Don't like that. So it does come with a leg stand for the bike, which actually grips on very securely. So that's much better than using the leg stand. But it's spring loaded, just like all the other bikes. That's good. And of course you also have the Tunxi stage act attachment for the bike, so just get this arm out of the way, get this piece and just plug it in, this hole at the bottom there, and it's very secure, so you can hold this in so you can do like a jumping or flying pose if you want to. Back out there we go. I'm not going to do that now. Yes, the bike is that's alright I suppose. It's quite detailed. There was no particular reason why I wanted to get this bike. I just decided, hey, I don't have this colored version of Skyrider yet, so I might as well get the package with the bike because the price was attractive enough. Yeah, so Suzuki logo there, no license plates or anything like that. The front there, there is transparent plastic here, but the orange is solid. Another Skyrider logo on the front there. On the top we have you know, the bike, gas and speed stuff. The engine is where most of the details are, very nicely painted and molded. I don't know much about bikes, but I know when I see something that looks like it's detailed. And yeah, the wheels move very nicely. There's no die-cast metal anywhere on the bike, which is disappointing. Usually in the past these bikes always have some bit of metal on it just to give it that weight, but this is fully plastic, aside from a few screws here and there. Yeah, so let's get Skyrider on this bike and see how well he sits on it, because this is a new bike, but the figure is still essentially, well, with a few updates, it's still an old mold. So, something needs balance. So, let's see, I usually just get the figure in a sort of sitting position to begin with. So, there we go. I'm going to do this off screen because it's hard. So I usually stick both of the figure's feet on the leg stand, the leg rest area first, and I seem to be having trouble doing that. Come on, fit the leg on there, we go. And then sit him down, get the hands onto the bike grip. Oh, thankfully hold on, his feet fell off. The thing of Skyrider is, any version of him, the feet is just a single ball peg, there's no arm and swivel thing going on, so the movement is slightly limited, the feet, which is annoying. Let's see. I know the visual is stunning right now, with nothing to see, but here we go. Okay, so he's on there. He's sitting fairly close to the surface. Yep, under certain camera angles, looks like he's sitting flat down, so that's good. And yeah. He's got enough room to have a passenger, so that's good. Just push him down a bit more. There we go. Can he look up a little bit? Yeah, there we go. And mostly the most difficult part of sitting him on this bike is to keeping his feet on the leg rest. Yeah, whatever. That'll do. Yeah. Right, so in terms of articulation, the head can go down, but not really go up too much, sideways, and of course the scarf is on a little ball peg, so that can move quite a lot. Shoulder pads sort of retract just a little bit, just slightly loose, but not really moving too much. Double shoulder joint rotation here, and yeah, it's quite ugly down there and quite noticeable. Double elbow joint hand is on a little ball and peg swivel. The upper torso goes back, forward, sideways, sideways. The belt is only attached to slight sleeve there, so it's technically detachable. You could put a DK belt on here if you want to. And these two flying hinges there, of course. Leg is the older style Figuarts sort of joint, goes down. You got a little bit of rotation there, a little bit of pattern in there just to make it seem less like a joint. Leg goes up, back, sideways. Double knee joint. Foot is on a single ball peg, which I guess is okay for this figure. And 80-degree toe joint. There's not just standard boot pattern on the bottom of the shoes. Ooh, that's a weird pose. Next, of course, we do have the bike, and that's pretty good as well. Nicely detailed for an old-fashioned bike. That's pretty much got all the bits that you can ask for, really. The only thing that's missing is, of course, the die-cast metal. Unlike previous bikes from a few years ago, they usually have like a softer handlebars, a replacement piece, in case you either break one or you want to use a softer one to avoid breaking anything. But while that was good in concept, they tend to fall off the bike quite easily. The joint was always quite loose. Here we have just one bar permanently attached to it, but it does feel quite fragile. So the handlebars are a little bit of a worry you need to pay attention to, but not too much. They do have a little bit of give, but it's thin enough plastic that it does feel like it will break if you're not careful. So that kind of sucks. In terms of accessories, you got the basic hands and the bike holding hands and stuff, and you got the cape and Tunxi stage axe. So it feels like it's complete, not really missing anything. So yeah, that's okay, I guess. So overall, this is a pretty decent package for a pretty decent price. If you like the show riders and you just want to pick up the bikes, yeah, definitely check this out. The figure itself is pretty good, but it's definitely showing signs of age in terms of the design. The sort of shoulder joints are very obvious where the cut is. In fact, certain poses can leave a huge gap there. And the the upper leg joint to the hip is also of an older design. And again, under certain poses will show a huge gap. So Figuarts has advanced a lot in the past few years, and this one definitely shows sign of its. It feels like it's from a different era of Figuarts. It's a new figure, but most of it is an old mold. So yeah, all of that is showing up. And that has been releasing the bikes along with a redone version of a previous figure is great. It means scalper lose a lot of scalping, and people who missed these figures in the first run get a chance to get them. There are some slight improvements, such as on the helmet and the paint job, and overall the joints do feel a lot tighter than my older dark colored Skyrider. So they must have done a few hidden improvements here and there to the figure overall. But improvements aside, the figure itself, I like the colors, I like the molding. It's it's got the whole show thing going on, and the helmet looks nice enough. So for someone who's trying to eventually get all of the Showa figures, I think this is a nice way for fans to get this figure if they missed it. If you already have this figure, then of course you can just get the bike on its own without the figure, and I don't think there are any penalties for it. Unlike, say, Rider Man, who had an extra mouthpiece for shouting they got with the bike, or Amazon, who had a different colored final attack / color effects part. But other than those, I don't think they're missing that much. Previous figures that I did manage to miss and then eventually got one without paying scouting prices was, of course, the Shin Ichigo, the light colored helmet version of him, as well as a dark colored helmet version of Nigo. It was great being able to get those figures without paying insane prices for, well, rough figures, to be honest.